Thanks, Jonathan. Let's bring in another Jonathan. Jonathan Turley, Fox News contributor, George Washington University law professor. Jonathan, this is not a surprise, but the fact that they went late into the night and rushed to do it, and they had a premature release, and then denied knowing anything about it, I thought was noteworthy. What stands out to you?
Well, I did find that statement by the district attorney to be baffling. To say, well, I don't know anything about the clerk's office. If this was a premature publication of the indictment, it's a serious mishap. You'd think she'd be somewhat curious as to how that happened. But the indictment is, as we expected, founded on this broad racketeering claim. You've got 18 individuals who are charged. Willis seems to have charged everything and everyone, and is allowing God to sort them out. You look at this indictment, and every call, every tweet, every speech seems to be a separate criminal act that composes this conspiracy. That raises really troubling questions as to the criminalization of the challenges to elections. I've been covering presidential elections a long time. I can't remember how many. But in every single presidential election, we track challenges by Democrats, by Republicans. Some of them are based on strong evidence, some are not. Even in this election, you had people like Mark Elias for the Democratic Party after these acts alleged that voting machines in New York were the cause of flipping an election and challenging that election. Was that a crime? Of course it wasn't. It was a challenge. They were looking for judicial review. So it's a very troubling indictment.
Jonathan, they waited 2.5 years to do this. If they had a problem, our question is, why didn't they take this to court 2.5 years ago? Why wait in all 4 of these indictments until a year before the election, knowing these court cases are happening next year, when we'll all be going to the polls in November?
I think that's a fair question. I think that the former president was within his rights to raise it. I think there's support for it. This indictment obviously could have been brought long before yesterday. It seemed to have been timed to hit right in the middle of the election, and now we have a pileup. This president is being really pursued pillar to post across the country in different jurisdictions. There's going to be a reaction to that. I mean, this is a very troubling thing to watch. The thing about Georgia, though, that I think the Trump team should discount is that this has legs. Because it was brought under the racketeering statute, it's going to be very hard to get an appellate review to knock this out on threshold questions. Racketeering cases are largely fact cases. And the prosecutors argue, let us prove our case. Right. Let us bring the evidence together. So the chances of this surviving a review are likely quite high, at least in some form. Now, in the D.C. case, the judge there could cause a similar problem. She could make it difficult for Trump to get to the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court on what I think are major threshold constitutional questions. That is, unlike Georgia, Jack Smith is creating new law, and it's not going to please a lot of these higher courts. In Georgia, this is a state action. Elections fall within their purview. So it's going to be harder to take out a case like this on a threshold challenge.
Sure. Jonathan Turley, we've got 5 more minutes on the clock with you. Jonathan, what we heard on Sunday from Hunter Biden's lawyer, Abby Lowell, who I'm sure you have known in the D.C. area for a very long time, great lawyer. When Hunter Biden would call his dad and put his dad on speakerphone, that was what a loving father would do. And I thought about that question because Peter Doocy asked the president about, hey, when you would get your dad on this, or when you would talk to Hunter on the speakerphone about business, and he goes, I never talked about business. Well, now Abby Lowell is admitting that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden talked to his business associates on the speakerphone.
Yeah, I agree with Abby. When my children fleece foreign figures for millions, I always call in and say hello.
Because you're a
it's just
loving
what
father.
And how
It's
else are you
what
going
a
to get the
father
weather?
does.
Right, and you
That's
want a
right.
beach house in Delaware.
You know, the problem here is the moving of the goalposts. You know, and the contrast is, of course, extraordinary. Right? Trump is being indicted for everything short of ripping a mattress label off.
That's
and
next.
Yet, but yet the Department of Justice seems to be waiting for a virtual confession from the president in order to bring an indictment. It's a very weird contrast. But this is becoming so serious, I think it's going to be harder and harder for the media and the Justice Department to continue to deny this. The president said for years to the public he never spoke to his son about his foreign dealings.
Right.
Recently, Devin Archer said that was categorically false, that the president knew about their dealings. Other witnesses have said they've met with the president at dinners, including one that says he discussed the family dealings. So all of these narratives are collapsing, and then they put up yet another one. Well, the loving father narrative is just not going to do it. You know, the House has now documented at least $20 million going to the Bidens. It's going through a series of accounts, a couple of dozen accounts that seem designed to hide those transfers. Mm-hmm. And all they can say now is, well, can you show a picture of him receiving an envelope of cash or a deposit slip to an account by Joe and Jill Biden? There are witnesses that have been cited that have said that they were told not to refer to Joe Biden directly, not to make any payments directly to him. And why would you set up all these accounts except for that purpose? You know, they're there so that you don't have that type of paper trail.
But is circumstantial matter? Does that matter, circumstantial?
Well, this is a pretty strong case as it is, and yet the Merrick Garland just refused to extend the mandate. He appointed a special counsel that flipped the regulation on its head. You know, he picked someone who's literally being looked into by Congress for alleged fixing of the prior investigation, and yet Garland still will not say that he should investigate all of this and get it all out. Right. Instead, he's focusing on Hunter.
Alan Dershowitz said the strategy is to get the conviction before the election. He said, I used to tell my students, if you bring a RICO case, it increases your chances of winning a trial and losing an appeal. But he says if we get a conviction before the election, and then it goes to an appeal, that won't happen until after the election. Is this going to help or hurt him if he ends up getting convicted?
Look, I think that this is obviously helping him. The American people don't like to see this. This is what you see in a lot of other countries. You know, the Willis indictment has legs in the sense that it tends to be more iron-plated because these are conventional state charges. That doesn't mean that it's right. When you look at this indictment, it's charging everything, every call, every tweet, every speech. You know, the president's allowed to challenge elections. He's also allowed to be wrong. Mm-hmm. And there's no clear principle or dividing line of when challenges will now be criminal and when they will be allowable.
And one more question. Why 18 co-defendants? What did they do wrong?
I think that once again, this is a very typical approach in a racketeering case. You charge everyone, and then you pressure a lot of the co-defendants to flip. And that's what I think they hope will happen here.
All right. Jonathan, we have 27 seconds left on the count. We will yield back our time.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thanks, Jonathan. I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.